Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'll be showing you a simple and very easy way to cut and sew a corset. This tutorial is beginner friendly and very easy to understand. If this is your first time of coming across my channel, I want to say a big welcome to you. And if this is what you love to learn, please sit back while I take you through the process. So here are the materials I'll be using to make this dress. I'm making a gown and I'll be using a velvet material for the upper part, and I'll be using an Ankara fabric for the down part. Okay, so if you are yet to subscribe, do well to subscribe and turn on your notification bell so that you get notified whenever I post a new video. So without wasting much time, let's get straight into it. So here are the fabrics which I'll be using. Like I said before, this is the Ankara fabric I'll be using for the down part of the gown, and this is the black velvet material which I'll be using for the upper part, which is a corset. Alright, and this is the mesh net which I'll be using for the yoke and also for the sleeve, and this is the bra cup, the already made bra cup which I'll be using. This is the hairstay which I'll also be making use of. Okay, so you'll be seeing how I'm using all of them, and this is the interface or the lining which I'll be using for this tutorial. So this is the gum stay or the paper gum which I'll be making use of, and lastly this is the boning which I'll also be using. Okay, so without wasting much time, let's get into it. All right, so here I'll be drafting the basic pattern which I'll be using for this particular tutorial. All right, so without wasting much time, let's get into drafting it. So here now I'll start from the shoulder line and I'll come down to the chest line and mark 8 inches. All right, and the bust point 10 inches, the under bust 14 inches, and the waistline 17 inches. All right, so now I'll come over to this other side and also mark the same measurement. Okay, 8 inches for the chest line, 10 inches for the bust point, 14 inches for the under bust, and 17 inches for the waistline. Now I'll simply use my ruler now to connect these points together to make a straight line. Alright, so after that I'll simply go ahead now and label all my lines. Okay, the chest line, the bust point, the under bust, and the waist line. Alright, so now let's get into drafting the basic bodice pattern. So I'll start from the shoulder. Okay, the shoulder measurement divided by 2, that's 8 inches. I'll simply mark it and I'll come down to the chest line and mark out the same measurement. Alright, so now I'll use my ruler to connect these points together. Okay, and mark out a straight line. Alright, so this will serve as my armhole line. Alright, so now I'll go ahead and also mark the neck measurement. Okay, so it's a round neck, the width, and also I'll mark the depth for the neck. Alright, now I'll be using my French curve to connect this point together. Okay, to give it a round neck. Alright, so now on the shoulder I'll come down by 1 inch. Okay, to give it a normal shoulder slant. Alright, now I'm going to measure the remaining armhole length, and now get the midpoint and mark out the midpoint. Okay, so now I'll simply go ahead and curve from that point. Okay, so I'm going to curve the armhole from the middle point. Okay, as you can see me doing now. Alright, so now I'll go ahead and start marking out the body measurement, starting from the bust. Okay, so here I'm going to mark out the bust measurement divided by 4, and I'll be adding 2 inches seam allowance. And I'll also come down to the under bust and divide the under bust measurements by 4 and also add 2 inches seam allowance. also come to the waistline and also mark the waist measurement divided by 4, and I'll be adding 2 inches seam allowance. Now go ahead and use my ruler and connect the lines together. Alright, now so the next thing now is to go ahead and draft out the corset pattern. So I'll come to the waistline now, and then I'll measure the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. So here the nipple to nipple measurement is 8 inches, and I'll mark 4 inches on the waistline and also 4 inches on the under bust, and I'm going to use my ruler to connect the lines together. Now I'll come over to the chest line and the bust point and go in by ½ inch. Okay, so as you can see me doing here, I marked ½ inch inwards on the chest line and also on the bust point, and I'll use my ruler to connect the lines together. Alright, now I'm going to get my bra cup and I'll simply place it at the end of that ½ inch measurement which I already made. Okay, now and I'll come up from the under bust by ½ inch, and I'll simply use my marker to trace it out. Now watch, while holding the bra cup, don't hold it too tight or too loose. Okay, so I'll simply use my marker now to trace it out. So as you can see now, I started from the ½ inch which I already measured inward from the chest line and from the bust point, and I curved it, okay, back to the chest line. Alright, so this will be the sitting for the bra cup. But now mind you, I'm going in by ½ inch now. Okay, so I'll be explaining why. So I'll be making a curve from this ½ inch which I am measuring right now. So I'm going to tell you why I'm doing that. Alright, so I'm supposed to cut from this first line which I already marked out, which is the bra cup sitting, but rather I'll be cutting from this second line which I am marking now. Okay, this second curved line which I am marking now. So I'm going to cut from this line instead of the first line, because I discovered that the bra cup will sit more perfectly on this second line when I cut from this second line than from the first line. Alright, so now I'll go ahead now and measure out the yoke for the front. Okay, so now from the shoulder line I'll come in by 10 inch because I want the yoke to be a bit deep. Okay, so now at the center of this cup sitting, I'll come up by ½ inch. Then I'm going to curve it from the chest line right to the center of the corset. Okay, as you can see me doing now. So I have just curved it now, giving it a sweetheart shape. All right, okay, so this will be the yoke for the front. Now from the beginning of this tutorial, I didn't mention that it's going to have that this corset will have a Basque waistline. Okay, so it's going to have a Basque waistline. Now I'll simply go from my shoulder, okay, from the shoulder measurement now, and I'll come down to where I want the Basque waistline to stop. So for you, you can decide to make your Basque waistline, okay, depending on how long you want it, but for this particular tutorial I came down to 24 inches. Okay, now I'm going to connect the Basque from the waistline. Okay, so I'll use my ruler to simply rule a line to form a triangular shape from the waistline measurement. Now I'll connect it to where the Basque waistline stops. Okay, so now I'm done with drafting the front pattern for this corset. I will simply go ahead and use my scissors to cut out this pattern. Now I won't be cutting this pattern entirely because I'll be using it. Okay, I'll be using this pattern to also cut for the back. Okay, for the back of the corset as well. So the front and the back will be having the same measurement. The only difference is that the back will not be having a Basque waistline, unlike the front. Alright, now so here I'm done cutting, and I'll simply place it on another paper. Okay, so that I'll cut out for the back measurements. Alright, so here now I've already placed the front pattern on a plain paper, which I'll be using also to measure out the pattern for the back. Alright, so like I said before, the back won't be having a basque waistline, and you also notice here I did not create any allowance for the zip. Okay, so I didn't create any zipper allowance for the back because the back will not be having a zipper, rather it will be having a rope. Okay, so I will simply just cut from the waistline, from the shoulder to the waistline. Okay, so watch me as I do so. Alright, so here now I am I'll be marking out the waistline. Alright, and also the back will also have a yoke like the front. Okay, but the yoke will only be stopping on the chest line at the back. Alright, so here now I'm marking the neck measurement. Okay, so I came down by 2 inches. Alright, for the back neck. Alright, and also for the yoke, I'll simply use this front pattern to mark for the yoke of the back. So I'll simply stop only at the chest line. Okay, so as you can see me doing now, I only marked the chest line, all right, on the both ends, and I'll use my ruler as well to connect the points together. So I'll use it to mark a straight line. All right, so like I said, the back is going to have a rope. Okay, so I'll be creating the space where the rope will pass through. So at the down part here, I'm marking out 1.5 inch, and at the top I'm marking 2.5 inches. Now I'll be using this ruler now to connect these points together. All right, so now I'm shading it here now because I'm going to cut out that particular part entirely, and I'll be replacing it with another fabric. And also for the yoke at the back is going to have an opening, so I'll be creating the opening here. From the neck I came down by 1 inch, and at the chest line at the back I came in by 6 inches. Okay, so as you can see me doing now, I'm simply going to form a curve, okay, from that 1 inch to meet the 6 inches. As you can see now, I have done so. Now I'm shading it out, which means I'm going to cut out that place entirely because the yoke will have an opening at the back. All right, so I'm done with the back drafting. I'll simply go ahead now and cut out the pattern. Alright, so here I'm done cutting the part which is not needed. I have cut out the part which is not needed, and this is the only necessary part for the back. Alright, so now I'll go ahead and also cut the front. Okay, alright, so like I said at the beginning that I'll only cut from this second line, okay, which is inwards, rather than cutting from the first line. So now here I am cutting from that second line, okay, which I said from the beginning. So now after cutting it, I'll simply get the back up and I'll show you what it will look like after sewing it. Okay, alright, so as you can see now, I have placed the yoke back. Okay, alright, now So here now I'm placing a bra cup to it. So as you can see now, the bra cup is sitting more perfect in it than when it will be on the first line. Okay, so it's sitting better on this second line rather than the way it would be on the first line. All right, so I'll go ahead now and cut this pattern on the fabrics. Okay, so here now I'm done cutting the pattern on the fabrics. So this is for the front corset. I have cut the velvet material and also the lining. Okay, all right, and also for the back as well, I have cut the velvet material and also the lining. And this is for the yoke, which I said I'll be using the mesh net for. So here I made it two, I cut it into two, so because I like to make my yoke double, right? I'll be using one to turn over the other. And also for the back yoke, I also made it double. So here I cut it into four places. I'll be using two for one side and two for the other side as well. So here, this is for the cup. Okay, so this is for the bra cup. I simply just cut out 4 pieces of material, which will be enough to cover the bra cup. All right, so here I made it 4 pieces, which I'll be using 2 for one bra cup and 2 for the other bra cup. All right, so I'll be showing you how I'm going to cut it, all right, so that it will fit perfectly well on the bra cup. Okay, so now I'll go ahead now and use my tape to measure out. Okay, so I'll be showing you how I'm going to measure and cut out this shape for the bra cup. All right, because if I'm going to sew it straight, it won't sit well. All right, so I'm going to make a curvy shape. Okay, just as I'm about to show you now. All right, so now I'll get my tape and I'll come at the top here and measure 1.5 inches. Okay, and I'll also come down and measure 1.5 inches. Now I'll simply use my chalk to curve it, to give it a curved shape. Now I'll be using my scissors now to trace out the curved shape. Okay, and now after doing that, I'll simply go to the machine and sew it at that end. Okay, I'll sew it at that round end, which is what I'll be using to cover the bra cup. So I'll be using this already cut one. I'll be using it to cut out this second pieces. Okay, so I'll be using 2 for one bra cup and the other 2 for the other bra cup. So I'll be showing you how I'll do it. Alright, now the next thing I'll be doing now is to add my hairstay to the front part of the corset and also add my gum stay to my lining. Okay, so this is the mesh net which I'll be using for the sleeve. I have already cut out the sleeve. Okay, so now I'll simply go to my ironing table and do the other necessary things. Alright, so here now I am done adding the hairstay to the velvet material for the back and also for the front, and I have already also added the gum stay to the lining. All right, so as you can see me showing you here now, I have added the gum stay to the lining and the hairstay to the velvet, but I did not add any hairstay to the velvet I'll be using to cover the bra cup. Okay, so here now I am done sewing the cover for the bra cup, so I will simply use it now to cover up the bra cup. Okay, so like I said, I did not use the hairstay on it because I want it to be more stretchy, okay, in order to relax well on the bra cup. So now I simply notch the middle of this bra cup and I'll be using this already sewn pieces of material to cover it up. Okay, so I'll be adding the sewn part to align with the place where I already notched on the bra cup, and I'll make it to sit very well, and I'll be using my pin to secure it all round. Okay, I'll be using my pin to secure it round so that it will sit well. Then I'll take it to the sewing machine and sew it down. All right, so here I have already used my pin, okay, to secure it round. okay, as you can see. So I'll simply take it to the sewing machine and sew from this end. I'll simply sew round the bra up, okay, to secure the velvet material on it. Alright, so here now I am done sewing it round. Okay, so as you can see, I've removed the pin. I have already sewed it, the velvet material on the cup. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is to use my scissors to trim out the unwanted excess fabrics. Alright, so here now I'm done trimming out the excess fabrics. The next thing I will be doing now is to attach the boning to the velvet material for the front corset. Okay, so as you can see now, I have already placed the front corset, the front part of this corset, which is the upper part. Okay, so now what I'm going to do now is to make lines. So I'll simply use my ruler and my chalk to create lines where I'll be placing the boning on, because this boning is a sewable boning, so I'll be sewing it on it. Okay, there's another type of boning which you can only make a hole for where you pass it through, but this one now I can sew it with my sewing machine. So I'll simply use my ruler now to mark out the lines where I want to sew the boning on. So the design you want on it depends totally on you, on what you want, but for me I like creating slanted lines and also straight lines. All right. Alright, so now I'll be using my tape to measure one side, okay, in order to know how I'm going to create the line on this second part. Okay, so here I'm trying to make the lines align together. I'm making the measurements to be equal, so that's why I'm using my tape to measure from this side and to the other side. Okay, so you ensure that your lines align together so that they will look perfect. Okay. Alright, so here now I'm done marking out the lines. I'll simply take it to the sewing machine and sew down the boning on these lines. But mind you, when you're sewing this boning, ensure that you don't make it to get to the end, as in the edge of the dress. Alright, so you can come down by 1 inch or 1.5 inches, okay, while sewing the boning, in order to allow you have a seamless dress when sewing round the edges. Okay, because if the boning gets to the edges and you want to sew around that edge, it might be difficult for you. Okay, so I'll simply go ahead and iron my boning straight and then sew it down on the dress. So here now, okay, I am done sewing the boning. Okay, So as you can see, it looking all straight and nice. All right, now I didn't add to the last line because I later discovered it was not necessary. So I only placed the boning on 5 lines. So as you can see, this is the front part. Okay, now the next thing I will be doing now is to go ahead and fix the bra cup. All right, so now I will simply face it right side facing each other. Okay, I'll place it this way and I'm going to sew it all the way around on the bra cup sitting. Okay, all right, so now I'll be taking it to the sewing machine to do the sewing. All right, so now I'm done sewing the bra cup. So as you can see, it is all sitting well and nice. Okay, so it's sitting well and nice. All right, so now the next thing I'll be doing now is to fix the yoke. All right, so here now I've already turned over the yoke. I told you guys that I made it double. Okay, so now I'll be fixing the yoke. All right, so here now I want to notch the center a little, right, to enable the yoke to sit perfectly into the center of the corset. So I'll be giving it a little trimming. All right, so here now I'm done trimming. I'll simply make sure that the center of the yoke aligns with the center of the corset. So as you can see me place it just at the center, making sure that the center points together. All right, so this I'm going to fix it. I'll simply flip it over and make sure that the center points together, and I'll sew from one center to one end. Okay, as you can see me placing my hand now, also come back to the center as well and sew it to the other end. All right, so now I'll take it to the sewing machine and do the sewing. All right, so here now I'm done fixing the yoke. Okay, so here now I've fixed the yoke already. So now the next thing I'll do now is to simply notch the center. All right, I'll give it a little notch so that it will be relaxed. All right, so now I'm done notching it. The next thing I'll be doing now is to get the interface, which is the lining. Okay, and I'll simply go ahead and then add the interface to it. So this is it. What I will simply do now is to turn it right side facing each other. Okay, so you will see how I'll show you to do it. You turn it right side facing each other. Okay, just like this, and sew along the line which you already sewed the yoke on. Okay, you ensure that the yoke is at the middle, and while sewing it you have to be very careful so that you don't sew the yoke together, make the mistake of sewing the yoke together on the line. Okay, so now you simply do a little sewing. Okay, just round it the way you did for the yoke. All right, so I will simply take it to the machine now and do the sewing. All right, so here now I'm done turning the interface. Okay, so I'll be showing you. This is the back. This is what it looks like. As you can see, it's looking all well and nice, all nice and good. So now the next thing I'll be doing now is to attach the upper part of this gown to the down part. So this is the down part. I have already turned it with the lining. Okay, so what I'll simply do now is to mark out the Basque waistline on the down part. Okay, so that I'll be able to fix the upper part and the down part together. So what I'll simply do now is to place it at the center of each other. Okay, make sure that the center of the top is sitting at the center of the down, just as you can see me doing now. I placed it at the center. Then I'll simply use my chalk to trace out the Basque waistline. So here now I'm using my chalk to trace out the Basque waistline. Okay, all right, so this is it. Okay, but I won't be cutting from that line. Okay, I'll be going in a bit. I'll also mark another line inward. Okay, like about half an inch, and that will be the line where I will cut from. Okay, and that is because I want the Basque waistline to sit perfectly, and I don't want the space to be too big. Okay, because if I cut from this first line, it will be too big, the line will be too big. I mean, the sitting for the Basque waistline will be too big for the upper part. Okay, so now I'll be going inward by half an inch to cut. All right, so this is what it will look like after cutting from the second line and placing it back. All right, so I will use my scissors now to cut from the second line. Alright, so now the next thing I will be doing now is to take it to the sewing machine and attach the upper part to the down part. Okay, alright, and also here is the back. Okay, I've already joined the back part of the corset, and this is the yoke as well. Okay, so now I'll simply go ahead and add the center, and this is the center where I'll be creating a hole. Okay, where the rope will pass through. All right, so now I'll be cutting out another fabric which I'll be placing at the center to cover up the opening. Okay, now the next thing I'll be doing is to join the upper part of the back to the down part of the back. All right, so here now I'm done joining the front part and the back part together. Okay, so as you can see, I've already joined the shoulder together. I've added the sleeve as well. Okay, so this is what the Basque waistline looks like. All right, so as you can see, it is sitting all well and good. So when fixing your Basque waistline, ensure that you make it so smoothly so that it doesn't bulge. Okay, so here the Basque waistline was sitting so well. So here I'm showing you the sleeve of the hand. All right, the flounce which I made on the hand. All right, and this is the back as well. This is what the back looks like. This is the loop which I was talking about, where the rope will pass through, and I've already made the center which I'll be using to cover the opening at the back. So as you can see, the dress is looking all well and good, and this is the back. This is the down part of the back. So I'll be showing you how it looks like on my clients. Alright, so this is my client rocking the dress, and she's so happy. Okay, so thank you all for watching. Don't forget to share, to like and subscribe. I will see you in my next one. Bye.